Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are doing part 2 of our large granny square blanket. I know, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, in part 1 you learnt you needed the yarn, you needed your hook, you needed your scissors, and you still need all these items. In part 2, however, this one here, you will be using this measuring tape. You will need your measuring tape to measure how big you would like your blanket to be as from part 2 onwards. So I'm not going to talk anymore. We did quite a bit of talking in the first part of the tutorial. If you are joining us new and you would like to try this blanket, just check out the links in the description box down below. I will have part 1 there ready for you and then you can come and join us. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's just get started. Alrighty guys, so if you're anything like me, you would have your square complete and you would have 2,400 million ends at the back of your work. Now we did weave in that first white one and we weaved in one of the blue ones somewhere here. So what I didn't show you last week was how to weave in a corner end. Now before we go on, we're just going to do one corner end and then we're going to discuss what we are going to do next. Okay, there you go. Oops, a bit far away there. Sorry, guys. Really far away, wasn't I? I do apologise. All right, so there is our corner end. All right, so what we want you to do is remember we crocheted over this. I'm assuming you did the same as I did. If you didn't, it doesn't matter. Just pop your, split that yarn a bit right there or anywhere there. Split it and then pop it straight back through in there. Going through all thicknesses. Now just remember not to pop it through the front, only the back part. Okay, and you can't see that needle, so we're going to pop it through right there. Okay, now splitting the yarn, I know a lot of people say it's a no-no, but you know what, it works for me. So we're splitting that yarn again there, and then we're popping it through the other way. Felt a bit thick for me, I'll make sure I didn't come in front, and I didn't, so that's great. Okay, whoops, just pop that through there. Now, that tail end is weaved in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pause the camera for a second, go ahead, weave in all these ends, and meet me back up in a minute. Okay, now that took forever, but they're all gone, they're gone. Oh, except for one, because yours truly, I like to crochet over that. Now, at this stage of your work, this is where you need to decide. You probably needed to decide earlier, but this is where you really need to decide the size of your blanket and what size you would like it to be. Now, I'm going to lose my voice today, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, we've got our measuring tape. This is where your measuring tape comes in. And so far, my square, just for fun, just wanted to let you know, measures about 19.5 centimetres, which is roughly almost 8 inches. It's about 7¾ inches. It's right. Whoa. Move that out the way so you can see. There it goes. Right there. Okay. So that would be the same both sides because, they are the same. It's a square. Okay. Now, the question, like I said, you need to ask yourself is how big do you want yours to be? To find out how many more rows you would need is just pop your measuring tape right in the middle of your work. I'm hoping I can do this right without it blurring. Right there, right in the middle of your work. So your first row starts from there. Oh, it's obviously the sun's going in just as I do this. There's 10 centimeters or 4 inches. All right, that is how many, that is how much 10 rows is. Okay, 10 centimeters or 4 inches right there. So if you know that 10 rows makes 10 centimeters, 4 inches, and let's say you want to do a blanket, because mine will be, this is the size I would like mine to be. I would like mine to be, let's see, we'll say roughly around 120 centimeters. So roughly around 47 inches by 47 inches. Or 120 by 120 centimeters, okay? So if that's the case, and 10 rows takes 10 centimeters, I'm going to need to do how many more rows? Come on, guys, let's do our maths together. I say we're going to do 12 times 10. We're going to have to do another 120. No, we want to do 110 because we've already got 100. We've already got 10. So we need to do another 110 rows. So if you have not bought enough yarn for 100 rows, then you can make a smaller blanket. Now, the other size down, I think, was 36 inches by 36, which is still not bad. That's 91 centimeters by 91 centimeters. It's quite a large blanket. Okay, so if that's the case and you've already done 10 and 10 is 10 centimeters, you would only need to do another 80 centimeters, which means you would only need to do another 80 rows. So there you go. Now, again, that's a lot of rows. So you have to consider how much yarn you have bought and how much yarn another 10 rows, 20 rows, 30, 40, 50 would be. You are remembering using 2 skeins of yarn or two colors. So if you've bought five of these, you kind of have to calculate how many rows it would take. Having said that, if you are nearing the end and you have 1 or 2 skeins of these colors left, hang on to them because we are going to do a border row. Now, what we're going to do today, just for fun, is I'm going to show you, and like I say, just for fun, because you pretty much know what you're doing, okay? Just for fun, we are going to do 1 row. Now, that's where we started off. We might not even do 1 row, just do 1 side, okay? Pop your hook in the corner there. Okay, so really all today's tutorial was about weaving in all those ends, okay, and measuring up your blanket to suit. Now, another way of measuring the blanket, now this is the way yours truly works. It's a little bit unorthodox, but it's what I do. I weigh my skeins of yarn. First I weigh them before I start my blankets. Then I weigh them once my blankets are finished, and actually weigh the blanket itself. And then I deduct the amount of weight. So these are actually 50-gram balls, okay, or 50-gram skeins. Now, I wind mine up, as you can see, they look like that. All right, so I wind them up looking like that. I weigh them all before I start. Then I weigh the blanket once it's finished, because don't forget you will be cutting ends. So you're losing quite a few ends in every row, which means you're losing quite a bit of that skein. And if you've done 10 skeins, you will probably lose almost half a skein on just cutting up ends. And that to me is a lot, really, a quarter even, let's say a third. Okay, so you will need that extra thread for the ends. Always when it comes to ends, you need to have extra. So I would actually weigh, when you start making blankets and you start becoming professional at crochet, weigh your skeins. I know roughly I need 1,200 grams, okay, roughly 1,000 grams to 1,200, okay. When I say roughly, I mean that because every hook size is different, and instead of using the size 4 that this actual pattern called for, I used a 4.5, and the reason is, and I'll explain that to you while we're doing this side. Okay, so just pop your thread over like you would normally do, lock it all into place, all right, and chain up 1, 2, and 3. Now, do your 2 double crochets in your corner, a 1 and 2. Chaining 2, 1 and 2 for your corner, and then you're doing your 3 double crochets. Now, if you calculated your rows properly, you should have 8 in between these 2 corners. In between these 2 corners, there should be 8. So you would need to put in either 8 cluster sets or 9 cluster sets, okay? So there's your corner. Now there's your spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. The reason why I'm using the 4.5 hook and not the 4 is because this is merino wool, and merino wool is very soft, and actually if you pull it too tight, it starts to, and in fact you can probably see it a little bit because I'm tight crocheter, It starts to pull a little bit in the middle. Okay, I'm not too worried because we are going to wash and block this anyway. Had I used a 4mm hook, this would be like kind of like that, and it would be turned up at the corners here. It'd be really tight. So if your work is ending up like that, that is probably because you needed to use the next size hook up. Now, experience tells me that I'm tight crocheter, I need to go a hook size up. However, with certain patterns, you cannot do that, okay? Because if you do the next size up, say if you're making a beanie and you do the next hook size up, it's going to be a larger size and it's not going to fit the head of the pattern that the pattern states for. Okay, so you have to be wary about patterns and yarns. Certain yarn, like, here I work with the Australian yarn. If you are from overseas, and most of my followers are from all over the world, so I'm very, very lucky like that. Okay, but if you are from overseas, you may not have this kind of yarn. You may have your own merino, and your own merino soft. All right, I've just pulled a thread at the back there. Good on you, Mary. Your own merino soft would probably be a lot thinner than this merino soft, or it could even be thicker. So you may need to use a different crochet hook size. So as you go further into your crochet, you will learn the difference between hooks and what size suits your hands and that sort of stuff. When you're making blankets, it doesn't matter. You can use any size you want because you are going to make the blanket the size that you like, and you can stop whenever you reach your size. Now, if I worked out that if each one of these rows that we do is 1 centimetre per row, then I would probably only need 100 rows. Okay, so that's, 1 row of each colour. And if I find that it's, say, 100 centimetres, the whole blanket is 100 centimetres, if I find that I wanted another row just to change the colour, I would just add that extra centimetre. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong size for blankets. The sizing I gave you earlier, they're just rough sizes. People always say, oh, you have to do this size and you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And this is why I love crochet so much. There are no rules, okay? It's the same with knitting. If you want your blanket to be bigger, then by all means, make it bigger. It doesn't have to be what everybody else is telling you to be. So for those of you who know me, I actually crochet over that tail end and then just like that and let go afterwards. If you are joining us new today, firstly, welcome. Secondly, parts 1, if you are looking for, the link to part 1 will actually be in the description box down below, and that will show you exactly what I do with the tail ends, okay? So now we're going to jump into our corner and do our double cluster set. So remember, guys, there is no right or wrong answer and no right or wrong size, okay? But I do find if I'm making a blanket for a baby, and it's going to be for the pram, 1 and 2 in the corner, yep. You need to make it a size that's going to fit the pram and not be too small. However, as the baby gets a little older, or your child gets older, you may find that they would like to hold the blanket and just carry it around just for fun. These double crochet blankets, this is what we call our normal basic granny square blankets, they are rather popular with babies. They are rather popular. I love the look that it gives you with the different colour. Oh, sorry, I forgot to bring that out. I love how that different colour look gives you that. It's like a colour burst right in your face. And that's what I like about the two-toned blanket, okay? Now, I've made it blue and white for just for fun. In the near future, I will make a pink and white one just for fun. Different style, not a granny square, completely different style. But we are going to continue with this blanket. Now, I'm going to go away and do 80 rows. Not by the end of this tutorial, no. I'm not that good. So what I'm going to do, and what I would like to do with you, is if you wanted to do 10 rows, and we meet up once a week on a Monday, or even I'll pop this on whatever day we're doing our lives, or just pop it on one of the days. We can decide what day that is. I haven't thought about it yet. I'll talk about it on the live this week. And we could actually show our blanket, or well, I could show you out my blanket. Once a week, we could pop this up and have a quick look-see and see how far you're going. I will also be doing a playlist of our granny square blanket. So it will be called the Large Granny Square Blanket. Okay, so pop over to that playlist, click on the playlist, and I'll have them all in a row starting from number 1 up the top. So part 1 will be up the top, and then you can just go through and click on the parts when you are ready to make your blanket. Okay, in the meantime, head off on your own, do 10 more rows. Oh, I think we should do 20 just for fun. Do 20 more rows. You're going to be working hard this week. Do 20 more rows, and join me in a week's time for the next step. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And guess what, guys? Ciao for now.